Hello, Geeky Saiyan Army. It's Kanan.
It's Jessie.
And we are the Geeky Saiyan couple. Before you freak out by the new look or whatever, we're currently
remodeling.
Yeah, so please forgive the mess in the back and all that, and that side is something else, so we had to do it like this. And
we have to do it in sections, so it's kind of like you move one thing, shove it all in a box, start another, and then put everything back. So
yeah, and it is very hot in here, and we're right next to each other, so yeah. So anyway, the shipping world is currently on fire, but in a good way for once. Before we start anything, though, we want to warn that this video will include very, very heavy spoilers for the fifth and final season of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. So if you have not seen Season 5, go watch it, then come back. Also, if for some reason you've never seen Ruby and you've never seen at least Ruby Volume 6 to 7, you might want to avoid this video as well. We're not really going to cover volumes 1 through 5 really all that much, because 6, like, even though there's been stuff throughout the series history, 6 and 7 is where things got hardcore, pretty much. So that's our spoiler warning right there. So if you've not seen any of this, click off the video, go watch them. You can watch Volume 6 on YouTube now, I believe. Volume 7, just join Rooster Teeth's website. You can watch it for free. She-Ra, you've got to have Netflix. So, okay, so what this video is going to entail is kind of comparing Bumbleby to Catradora, but not really as far as them being like the two ships being the exact same, but like the similar romance cues that both Rooster Teeth and I guess technically DreamWorks, though it was the She-Ra crew that worked on She-Ra. DreamWorks just funded it pretty much. That they both used. And it's kind of an opportunity to take moments from Ruby between Blake and Yang that people have said, oh, I done that with my friends. But yet, a canon romantic same-sex couple did the exact same stuff. Those arguments kind of fall on dead weight.
Yeah.
And before anyone asks, what does a straight guy know about this? I'm looking at this from writing romance perspective, just, not really looking at it as a same-sex romance. I like to look at it as just normal romance. Love is love. I'm pretty good at writing romance. We've wrote. Oh yeah, I've wrote stuff before, but I can't talk. Write yes, speak no. We've written a lot of romance stories together. Nothing we've ever published. We just do it for fun. And so I'd like to think I'm pretty good.
One day.
Yeah, I like to think I'm pretty good at spotting romance and romance cues. She's very good at it. Plus, she's bisexual. So, I mean, she knows what she'd be talking about.
Clearly, I mean...
Alrighty, so we have got some slides. Not everything is going to have slides, and I wasn't able to get every single moment because Season 5 of She-Ra was loaded with stuff, and if I included everything, this would be like a 3-hour video.
We'd be here till next week.
Yeah. So, and same way with Ruby as well, though. So, we're going to go in sections. We're going to go through similarities. We're going to go with differences and some other things. The first 3 sections, though, in similarities will not have any pictures. This is just going to be a discussion. So, starting with similarities, we have the fact that both ships, before they turned romantic, were, of course, close friendships. Now, Catra and Adora were raised since they were younger in the Horde. So, of course, they developed a very close... They're childhood friends, pretty much. With Blake and Yang, though, they're not childhood friends. they kind of started off as strangers, became friends, became became partners. Then eventually, they started. They eventually would start having romantic feelings for each other, and then, like, it's kind of a difference in a way of how they were both brought up and all that, but it's in their parting ways and conflict. Conflict's kind of different, but they're parting ways. So Adora realizes the Horde is not good. So she decides to leave. Catra takes that as a betrayal, and Catra spends most of the season as pretty much a villain. Which, I mean, in the original She-Ra from, was it the 80s? I believe it was.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, so it's...
Catra was the main villain. There was no question about it. She was pretty much She-Ra's version of Skeletor for He-Man. But with Blake and Yang, they parted ways because Blake's past came back to haunt her. Yang ended up getting hurt saving Blake by her abusive ex-boyfriend. Blake left. Yang felt betrayed because of her abandonment issues. But unlike Catra, who I think maybe for a little bit let her betrayal consume her in a way, Yang never really did that. She was mad, she was upset, but she didn't hate Blake. But then again, Catra never hated Adora either. And then with reunions, you have, like, in She-Ra, it was probably one of the most heart-wrenching reunions ever. Like, they really pulled at your heartstrings in this one. With Blake and Yang, their reunion, it was very simple, but it was powerful. Because with Blake and Yang, you kind of had this kind of Beauty and the Beast moment. You know, you came back kind of moment.
Which in Beauty and the Beast, that was a very simple thing, but very powerful.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, even just the words themselves, it's very powerful. It's... Yeah. So it really translated.
So really the similarity in this whole little section right here is you've got two pairs of close friends. One having more history than the other, but still close friends nonetheless. Something tore them apart, caused a bit of friction, tension, and all that. One more so than the other. But then you had touching reunions that eventually led to them coming to terms with how they felt about each other. Okay, this next section is really the similarity section. And this is where we're going to have some visual aids. And I gave these simple sections, so I'm just going to read what I put for them. So here we go. Alright, this first section I simply called Soft Looks. Now, the bottom one of Blake and Yang is from Volume 6. And, of course, the top ones are from Season 5 of She-Ra. Now, when this moment between Blake and Yang happened, this is when a lot of people, like, really started thinking, are they really going with Bumbleby? Like, I remember reactors, even Klaxon was like, these are some flirty looks. These are some really longing looks here.
And anyone, I've also seen some things, well, you know, I've acted that way towards, no. I'm just going to stop any from that.
Yeah.
You can't look at somebody like that, I mean.
Anyone who takes these moments between Blake and Yang and say, oh, well, I've done that with my friends, okay, that's you and your friends. That's not a universal friendship thing. So you've got to separate yourself from that. And here you've got Adora and Catra pretty much doing the exact same thing, and they end up in a romantic relationship. So, anyway, this is the first part of Soft Looks that I saw a major comparison. And then, again, you have this. You have a moment where Adora is looking at Catra. Only thing Adora is doing that Yang isn't doing is blushing one day. But the funny thing about Yang's picture is this is during a very now famous part of Volume 7, where Yang went out of her way to circle around and stand in front of Blake and just stare at her. So yeah, we have both instances of what people call the blonde jock staring at their cat girl love interest. Just, just softly, admiringly looking at it. Like, because in Yang's case, she looks like she's kind of swooning a little bit. Like, she likes the haircut.
Yeah.
Whereas Adora is kind of being swooning by Catra doing something to show off her strength. The next one... Now, like I said, there was many moments in season 5 that I just could not save them all. Like, this season was flirting overload. But here's another example of the two looking at each other with soft looks. And I think the one between Blake and Yang does not get enough attention because the context it's delivered in. They both just watched Ren and Nora holding hands romantically, because Ren and Nora is a romantic ship. They've kissed now. It's canon.
Yeah.
They've kissed, and Yang is looking at them doing the same thing her and Blake have done. She looks over at Blake, and Blake's already staring at her, and Blake is giving her a pretty flirty look. Like, it's kind of a, yeah, I'm into you,
What everyone calls the bedroom eyes.
Yeah, and a lot of people were upset that Blake and Yang didn't hold hands right here, but it wasn't needed. It was kind of showing that the wheels in their brains are turning watching Ren and Nora. Because Blake and Yang, for the last few seasons or volumes, have been connected, paralleling to Ren and Nora's relationship. Alright, moving on. Now, this section we call open flirting. Now, once again, I couldn't use more pictures from She-Ra just because there was too many of it. This was my favorite moment, of open flirting between these two. Her just sitting in Adora's lap, and then later she is moving her tail in Adora's face, and she's purring. Okay? So that was probably my favorite flirt. The other three of Blake and Yang, okay, so the top one above Adora and Catra is probably...
Gay panic.
Yeah, but it is probably, besides what Nora says later in the volume, it is the most telling moment ever since people have been shipping Bumbleby, okay? For people who have not watched volumes, who have not watched Ruby, Blake catches Yang staring at her, and Yang panics and says that she's just not used to the new hair, which Blake blushes, asks her if it's bad, and Yang panics.
No, it's good. Great even.
Yeah, she just, and even
it's the classic caught staring at your crush.
Yes, and it cuts to Marrow and Harriet, and Marrow's annoyed because he's watching these two dorks flirt with each other, and even though the kind of character Harriet is, her eyes do kind of soften watching them for a split second if you watch it real close. And then the other two options, you have to understand Blake's character, how she started off and how she is now, and this volume, she giggles at almost every joke that Yang says. And every time Blake giggles, Yang's smile softens.
And just looks at her.
Yeah. It's a little bit more subtle in the top picture, but in the bottom one, if you watch really, really close, Yang gets this look on her face like, aw, her giggle's so cute. It just makes her happy. Yeah. So it's pretty much to the point, it's like Calaxon said, with Blake and Yang openly flirting with each other, and Catra and Adora did the same exact, did a lot of flirting in this season. If you're still denying it, you're a lost cause. Next, blushing. Okay, so it is no question that Catra is blushing. She blushed a good number of times this season. I counted it, like, off the top of my head, I know of 3 instances where she blushed. Okay. And of course, Blake blushes in a result of Yang staring at her and commenting her on her new hairstyle. I remember when this happened, people said her face was red from the cold.
Nobody else's really was.
No,
not
nobody,
to that, especially
no.
the lines.
You can see the
That's
blush
another
lines.
thing.
Yeah.
Those are blush lines.
So yeah, people were just like trying their best to deny that she was blushing because of Yang. But no, it definitely happened. There's really not much else to say on that. I'm sorry. If you do not see the similarities in this right here, I don't know what to tell you, okay? You have 2 very, very close instances of them holding each other. To the point Catra and Blake both are like grasping at them. 2 different situations, but the meaning is still there for both of them. Like, for real. Moving on. Hand holding. Now, Blake and Yang have done a ton of hand holding. People have said that in Remnant, hand holding must be one of the lewdest things you can do, because now, of course, there are a lot of instances of them holding hands. Of course, the iconic moment from later in Volume 6, but I always like this one. I just love how intimate and how caring Blake looks. And then, of course, you have several instances of Catra and Adora holding hands this last season. So, once again, people saying holding hands is no big deal. Catra and Adora end up together. So, and I think Blake and Yang have held hands more times than any other pairing in the show. Next is comforting. Now, there are like I said, Season 5 had so much of it, I just couldn't include all of it. So this is the first one I found of Adora comforting Catra. And of course, Yang comforting Blake. You know, it's Blake and Yang's is even a little bit more intimate because Yang has her hand on Blake's back. And I don't know, it's another similarity that both pairings did. Crying over their abuser. Now, for ones who just haven't watched She-Ra, Adora and Catra were raised by Shadow Weaver, and it is not really a secret that she abused them. But the thing is, she was the closest thing they had to a mom. So even though she treated them like crap, there was still parts of them that cared about her somehow, and when she sacrificed herself, they both shed tears for her. Now, down below, of course, Adam abused Blake. It's no question. The writers have confirmed it. It's been confirmed in several other forms of media. But it was still someone she once loved. Now, whether it was more lust than love, well, hopefully we'll never know. I don't really want to know about that. But the fact that she
painted a picture is what it was.
Yeah, pretty much.
She fell in love with the picture he made.
But despite all he did, he tried to have her parents killed. He almost completely turned one of her closest friends, Ilya, against her. He tried several times to kill Yang. She still shed tears for him because she hated that it came to that. So, yeah, a very simple similarity between both couples. They both had some sort, like even Yang, even though she wasn't abused by Adam, he was still a source of trauma for her. He cut her arm off.
Yeah.
And, you know, anyone will tell you who have lost a limb, the trauma is still there. It's a traumatic event. So yeah, a very, very similar thing there. Next, forehead touching and face caressing. I'm sure you remember when Blake and Yang did this. Everybody thought they were going to kiss. I personally didn't think so because they just killed a guy. wasn't really appropriate.
It wasn't the moment.
No, but this was the closest they'd ever come to kissing. Like, just that close. And I remember people saying, oh, I've caressed my friend's face before. I've placed my forehead. Like I said, if you do that with your friends, good for you. But applying to what you do with your friends and make it like it's the universal norm, that's not how it works, people. I'm sorry. Placing your forehead against someone and caressing their face is inherently a romantic gesture.
Look in anything. Comic books. Come on. Comic book movies. I mean, everything, manga, everything. Like, this, the forehead touching and stuff like this is a very powerful, intimate moment. And, I mean, I've seen it in, Harley and Ivy. We've seen it in numerous, between DC and Marvel. It's been in the movies. I don't remember which at the moment. It's late. But it's in Sailor Moon, in so many things that I've seen that we've grown up with. That's a very powerful thing. It's not just something to take lightly. It's
Yeah. And just like the bottom left picture of Adora and Catra, up in the upper right, Yang is cupping both sides of Blake's face. You can see it on the one on the left. She's already got her real arm on the side of her face, and then she eventually takes her prosthetic arm and does it. And Blake goes one extra than Catra and actually grabs hold of Yang's arm. I'm sorry. The way it was shot, no music. This was a romantic moment. It was meant to be a romantic moment. And then, like, once again, you've got a couple down below them that, have went the full 9 yards. I love yous, a kiss, everything. They did the exact same thing. Okay, moving on. Last little part of the similarities. Cat girls with new short hairstyles. You've got Catra, who went for the pixie look, and then Blake got the bisexual bob. And before anyone says anything, member of Kruby already confirmed that yes, they gave Blake the bisexual haircut. That's confirmed. It was said at RTX last year. Erin, Blake's voice actress, even said Blake was like Cora. And she even said, and we know how that ended.
Yeah. So it's been compared to Cora.
So, of course, yes, it's also meant to be like, for Catra, it was redemption, part of her redemption arc, but also a shorter hairstyle always means a new start. That's definitely what it means for Blake, and it was for sure what was meant for Catra.
Mulan.
Yeah, Mulan did it. Cora did it, of course. Okay, now in differences, a major difference for Blake and Yang is that in Volume 7, Blake and Yang actually went on a date. Catra and Adora didn't because, I guess you can kind of count their missions they had to go on as their dates, but it was the last season. It's in game, final boss is coming. They didn't really have time to go out and dance or something. But in Volume 7, you have Blake and Yang. They're going to the dance club. Yes, Team Funky is going, but Yang makes it very apparent that she has no intention of hanging out with them. She is going to dance. She is going because she wants to dance with Blake. She is going because she wants to spend time with Blake. And no one else goes with them. And Weiss is even like, I'm not going to be a third wheel. I'm just going to go to the movies with Sean and Oscar.
Yep.
Next, subtlety. Now, in the earlier seasons of She-Ra, I guess there was some subtlety, but this is mostly just connecting them with Bumbleby from 6 and 7 to Catradora in Volume 5. There was no subtlety at all in Season 5. Like, it was hardcore. All these moments are from Volume 7 of Ruby. You've got, over here on the right, Yang. This is before she's caught staring. She is already staring. She is looking right over at Blake. And eventually she circles around and just
stares at her.
Yeah, just stares at her. And then, of course, you got a cute moment of Blake laying in Fang's lap and Yang has an arm over her.
Yang's lap.
Yeah, Yang's lap, sorry. And, like, I'm sorry, that's just, when you lay in someone's lap like that, it's, you know.
That, and if you go on the cat terms.
Yeah.
If the cat does that, they feel safe.
Yeah.
So they feel happy.
Cats nap where they feel the safest.
Yes.
You know, Blake, we've never seen Blake apply her makeup before.
No.
So we've got Blake putting her makeup on.
Like, taking the time to look at herself and do it. Like,
yeah.
It's not just some quick thing. She's checking over herself and...
And if you zoom in, Yang looks over at her and smirks. Yeah. And it's even theorized that when she's looking up like this, she's not really looking at herself. She's looking in the mirror, seeing Yang staring.
She probably is, because her eyes shift slightly. So she does look... She's probably looking back, thinking, okay.
And then you have the Bumblebee selfie, which caused a meme storm. Like, this picture was everywhere. I included this because the animator of this scene, of the selfie, confirmed something to me. Because after a RWBY volume, the animators and all that, they'll post the scenes that they animated on Twitter.
Or moments they were most proud of and all that.
Yeah, and she was the one that, I'm not going to name her, just, you know, because I don't want people flooding her Twitter or anything like this about this, because this happened months ago. I said, oh, so it's you that we have to thank for the Bumblebee selfie. I really liked the added touch that before looking at Yang's scroll, Blake looked at Yang and smiled just because Yang put her arm around her. And she said, I love it when fans catch the small details. That means...
That confirmed that.
Yes, that it was on purpose. Blake does not realize that scroll is there. She is looking at Yang and happy that she's got her arm around her. And there is, like, if you watch the scene very carefully, it's quick. You've got to really pay attention to it. I noticed it when we did our analysis back in Volume 7.
It took me quite a while to be able to get those moments, too.
As Blake starts to look at the scroll to smile for the selfie, her eyes quickly glance over at Yang's arm on her shoulder, then she looks at the scroll.
I think I managed to get it. It took me about a half an hour to try to catch that exact moment.
What episode is this? Was chapter 4?
That's when they got their license. So
I think it was chapter 4.
I think it was 4, but yeah, it took a while because it was so quick. I mean, I tried to do it on a cell phone at first, didn't work. I actually had to pull it up on a laptop, and I made sure this was like the highest quality that I could find that picture.
Yeah, I think you freeze framed and everything. She definitely looks.
Yes, it took quite a while to get that exact moment, to get it in frame, but yeah.
And then the last one is once again when they're getting ready to go dancing. Now, of course, it's not going to be in motion, but it's another little subtle thing. Blake is telling Ruby where they're going. They've been invited out dancing, and she eventually turns to Ruby and says that her and Yang thought it'd be good to get the election off their minds. Yang's hand doesn't
lift. It just, as she moves, she lets it slide across her back, and she adjusts her hands over her shoulder.
Yeah, she keeps it there. Well, even with the I forgot to mention this. The selfie one. Once the scene changes and it goes back up to Ruby, while they're looking at the selfie, Yang keeps her arm around Blake. So, I mean, it's these little subtle things. Like, I feel like Bumblebee is sometimes a little too subtle, but I do love it when I catch it, because it just, it's great when you discover things. Where Catradora in Season 5 was not subtle at all. And then you have cute jealousy. Now, there can be a lot of moments in She-Ra Season 1 through 4 that you could kind of take as jealousy, probably, especially on Catra's side. But this is iconic because from Volume 1 to 7, I don't think we have ever seen Blake act jealous or territorial or anything. So someone brought it up that when Yang puts her arm on, it's kind of like her elbow. She leans on Oscar.
Yeah.
And Blake gets this look look on her face in response to it. She's
Like, as
lifting...
soon as she does it, she's just going...
Yeah, she's got her eyebrow raised. She's frowning. She ain't happy. She didn't like that. And it's adorable. Like, we've never seen Blake react this way to anything like this.
That also goes with the whole cat territorial thing.
Yes.
Actually, well, an animal territorial thing, actually, because Luna does it too. Like,
and though yes, we know faunus are not animals.
Yes, they're not. But the traits,
Yes.
like Luna, if I were to go,
Blake still acts like a cat every now and then.
If I were to go near one of the other dogs, Luna will sit there and just be like, "Huh, you know, what's up with this?"
Yeah, but that makes it sound like Blake sees Yang as her owner or something.
Well, no, that's not what I meant. But I mean, like, in that sense, it's just kind of like, hey, what's this here?
Anyway, the point is, for the first time ever, Blake is showing a little bit of jealousy here, and it's over Yang. So, yeah. Next is understanding. Now, I'm not saying that Adora and Catra do not understand each other. It's just that it seems like with how their characters are written, they take a while. Like, Catra is very, like, at this point in time where this scene was taken, she's still being very walled off and all that. Not being really true about how she feels and all that. And there's times where Adora really acts like she just doesn't want to, I don't want to say bother, but she just doesn't want the fight.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas with Blake and Yang, they read each other like a book. In this scene, Blake brings up Adam, pretty much, but she also brings up how she's not happy with what they're doing, and instead of really questioning her about it, Yang says, huh? Well,
she's not.
Yeah. It's like the two, they literally are yin and yang to the point.
And if you really think, seeing this now, if you actually look back, as they started growing together as partners, as a team, as, you know, friends, everything, as they go up through it, they really quickly started creating that bond. And once Blake had come back, it was really apparent. Like, they can just a look. Just a look, and the other one knows to move or to say something, or it kind of fits.
Yeah, plus Catra and Adora, I think seasons 1 through 5 take place over the course of a few years. They spent a long time away from each other, and most of it was as enemies. Where Blake and Yang, yeah, they were apart, but it was like, what? Have they ever clarified the...
I don't think so.
I don't think it was...
Just like we haven't clarified ages?
Yeah. I don't think it was over a year, or the latest it would have been a year that Team Ruby was separated. Okay, next is mommy issues and abandonment. And boy, both of these definitely feature that, though it's kind of different. In this case, Yang is the one with the mom issues, but both Adora and Catra both kind of have mom issues because of Shadow Weaver. And in this case, it's Catra who has the abandonment issues, and Yang has Blake's kind of free of both of these. She's just the one that did the leaving, and so did Adora. So that's pretty much what it is. Adora left Catra in the Horde, and Blake left after Yang was hurt by Adam. Now, Adora left because, like I said earlier, she found out that the Horde was evil. She didn't want anything to do with it. She tried to get Catra to leave, but Catra would not do it. So that's how they pretty much became at odds with each other. Blake left to protect Yang. She did it with good intentions, but didn't go about the best way of doing it.
Yeah, it didn't go the way she was hoping. Like, she's kind of went without thinking it through first, like, fully.
Well, she expected Yang and all of them to hate her, and she was fine with that at that time. She even said once, you know, I hope they hate me for leaving. And so, yeah, both Catra and Yang were very badly affected by Adora and Blake leaving. I think Yang handled it better than Catra did in a lot of ways. And even though it's different in how they both happened and how characters handled it, at the end, it kind of had the same resolve. Catra tells Adora, you know, please, just this once, just stay. And Blake tells Yang, hey, I'm not leaving. So, differences, different kind of storytelling with both issues, but they kind of had the same result. Now, moving on, is a little something that I saw happen after Catradora became canon, and that is Bumblebee needs to catch up. Or, Bumblebee's next and all that. I want to start off by saying, since their romantic feelings for each other has been confirmed to be mutual, that technically already makes them at least semi-canon. And remember, not every ship needs an I love you or a kiss to become canon. Korrasami became canon with just a handhold and a looking into each other's eyes. Of course, both writers of Korra came out and said a few days later that yes, it was canon, blah, 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 but I mean, still.
We may get something where we get that moment, and then, say, Kruby or something will confirm it before we even see the kiss or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, we could even see that, so...
Yeah, they could they could get together and then confirm it, and then they just might not kiss until later in the series. Because Ruby, I'll get to that in a second about why it seems like Bumblebee's taking a while. But, see, I just wanted to say that. They're semi-canon, guys. They're getting that way. And the reason why it feels like they need to catch up is you got to understand, one is show length. Now, I don't know if it was ever said that She-Ra was only going to be 5 seasons, but I don't think it was ever going to be as long as Ruby. Ruby has a set ending, but they don't know when
They've got no...
They don't know how long it'll be until the show ends.
They know what's going to happen, they don't have a number. Let's put it that way.
With She-Ra, and of course people throw out numbers all the time, like, oh, I thought they said this, they've never said, I believe one time they said they had, written down enough material for, 12 volumes or something, but they had, enough material in their heads for 20 volumes. So
for what, for Ruby?
Yeah, for Ruby, yeah.
I've heard that there's about enough material for 20.
Yeah.
But that was from something that was said from somebody in Ruby, but they never confirmed oh, we only have this set many amount. Well, we've got right up to this. Hell, they could go past that.
But the thing with She-Ra is they knew they had to tell the whole story within 5 seasons. If 5 was the original number. Netflix shows, they usually go about 3-4 seasons, so I think they knew they had about 4 or 5 seasons, especially when it became a hit. So they had to tell the story kind of as quickly as they could. They had a finish line planned. Ruby doesn't have a finish line. We don't know when it's going to end, okay? So that's one reason why a lot of people feel like Bumblebee needs to catch up. Ruby's a slower story. It's technically it's going to be way longer than She-Ra. She-Ra, they had to get all that in each season to build it up so they would be ready by their finish line. Ruby, they could take all the time they want at this point. And that also goes into how different relationships are different and how they progress. Some relationships move faster than others. And also you gotta remember, I'm trying to think of a way to say this. Both relationships had a lot of trauma and all that, but it's almost like Ruby is wanting to tell... I guess, in other words, Bumblebee's a slow burn. Catradora, not exactly a slow burn. It's kind of already established. And, in Season 5, it kind of shows you that, oh, it was always romantic. It's just that...
It had to build up to get there.
Yeah. And then you got to look at the show focus, guys. Noelle stated that Adora and Catra's relationship was the driving force of the show. That was pretty much the main focus. It was the heart. See what I did there? It was the heart of the show. With Ruby, Blake and Yang's relationship is not the focus of the show. You know, they're main protagonists, and their relationship...
It's a multi-relationship-like show, though. Like, there's multiple relationships through the show.
Well, I mean,
so they're not going to focus on just one, even though they're the main characters. That would be more focused on than others, but...
Well, there was other relationships in She-Ra, but, I mean, they didn't get as much airtime as Catra.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Did.
And Ruby, I mean, come on, look, Renora got a lot more focus than relationships that were in She-Ra too, like other relationships outside of there. So it's
and like their relationship is the main focus of their arc that they share. Blake and Yang have had a shared arc since at least volume 2 or 3, so it's the main focus of that. So when Blake and Yang are on screen and it's just them, then yes, their romance is going to be the main focus of that scene. But Ruby has so many other characters. It has a main plot that it's mostly being plot driven, pretty much, with the little romances and relationships just kind of sprinkled around. Plus, with how Ruby does things, like, it always bugs me that people expect a full, complete story each volume, when each volume is part of a larger story that's being told. Like 1 through 3 was the whole Beacon arc. 4 through 6 was the whole Mistral arc. You know, that's the same right now. We're in Atlas.
The Atlas arc. And
then we'll be in Vacuo, and then probably some end game volumes or whatever.
But we've also, I mean, they were all split up, but we've never had an arc also with Menagerie.
Or
anything of going, like parts of going to Menagerie.
Yeah, I know, but I just don't know if they can focus a full volume on an island.
But part of one.
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. But yeah, that's the point. Catradora and She-Ra was the main focus, really. Their relationship was the driving force. With Ruby, Blake and Yang's romance isn't the main focus, so of course it's not going to move as fast. Plus, you've got to look at how Catradora's relationship was before they became a couple versus Blake and Yang. They were childhood friends. They spent their childhood together. They had several years to develop those feelings for each other. And we learn in season 5 that Catra always was in love with Adora. So, yeah, it was just more, it made more sense for them to fall in love within 5 seasons. Blake and Yang, they started out as strangers. Then they became friends. You can't be hungry. Then they became partners, and then through them being separated, and they always say abstinence makes the heart grow fonder. Through them being apart from each other, and then reuniting, and then taking care of Adam taking out Adam together. During that whole time, they started to realize that they've got feelings for each other. The reason why they felt the way it is because it's more than friendship. Erin herself said that they're starting to realize that their feelings go deeper than just friends. So of course it's going to take slower because they're just realizing that. They've got to figure themselves out. So that's anyone who says that Bumblebee needs to catch up. It's a whole different show, whole different pacing, whole different focus, whole different relationship, really. Now here is kind of a call out to the Deniers and all that. Why is it in one season Catradora does everything and more that Bumblebee has done in 2 volumes, yet only one of them's romantic? Either some of you just don't have much of a personal life, or you just don't get romance. I mean, I'm sorry. That comes off a little harsh, but I just don't see how we can have a whole season of She-Ra that has the same things happen, plus I love yous and a kiss, and that's romantic. But Blake and Yang, who are doing the exact same thing, hand holding, foreheads, face caressing, they even went on a date. That's not romantic. Because I say so. You know, I'm sorry. Whenever I see people denying Bumbleby and they're like, they'll just flat out deny it, it's mostly because, it's because I say so. You know?
Or it's because it's not what they want.
Yeah, it's because, yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter what you want. It's what they're going to write. It's their show.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen a ship have so much resistance to it. I know the real reason. It's because these people don't want Bumblebee shippers to get their way. But I'm like,
none of us, we're not directing the show.
No.
I mean,
and like I've always said, I'm sorry. These people who take it as injustices that people are enjoying a ship and like to talk about it and act like there's some kind of warrior to protect the show. I'm sorry. If a fictional ship affects you that much, then you need to quit watching, or you need to get off the internet for a little bit, because it's...
Or the people, like, some of it is also they take the ships way too serious. I mean, for us, I mean...
There's a personal reason. If you watched our video...
If you haven't, go watch our ship video for Bumblebee that we did for...
Came out in March.
It was our 100th video, and it'll explain why the ship means so much to us, and it's quite a long video. It's quite...
It was rough for her to film,
and but
it's doing pretty well. It's got over 600 views.
But it's the true reason. Thing is we don't look at it as just some ship, and I wish a lot of people did. It's the same thing with any ship. It's a lot of them that we really do, especially we've even expressed through cosplay, and I know this is the same for a lot of other people, and I'm seeing a lot more of it also with the Catradora, and the ship means something to them. So this is why we cosplay a lot of the ships that we do, and we've touched on that, and it's the people that turn around and attack everybody. It's, like, oh, well, you like this, you shouldn't like that, or, you're going too serious into that. Well, it means something to us, so we're going to express it by doing that. I mean, and that's with everything. I mean,
yeah, and your comment...
I might do catch her at some point.
Yeah, and plus the comments like, Bumblebee sucks. Okay. What's
your opinion? I'm not going to turn around and say something to you. I mean, unless you personally attack me. But I mean, even then, I'll probably just delete it.
My reaction is usually like, am I supposed to care? Anyway, to me, it's just, it's plain ignorant denial at this point. If you see Bumblebee do all this stuff, and then you see another ship do the exact same thing, and it actually turns out to be romantic, I'm sorry, like, whatever little bubble you're living in, it's going to be rougher on you when it does happen and your bubble pops. Like, it's going to be a rough day.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, that was our video. Sorry for the little tangent there. It's just that, it just really angers me when you've got these armchair critics come out of their holes and tell you how to enjoy a piece of media.
It's pretty much just, you don't ship it, you don't ship it. Let people enjoy what they want. Let people enjoy what they love. I mean, just let them like what anything. I mean, it shouldn't be up for debate. I mean...
Speaking of Bumblebee, we've got a little update that happened today. Let's pull it up. Okay, so this came out early, like, this was posted earlier today. So apparently, parts of Volume 5 got slightly touched up. It wasn't the whole volume, it was just stuff that they wanted to improve that could have been better, because a lot of people say that Volume 5 was the worst volume of RWBY. I disagree. I still think Volume 1 was the worst. Because there's just a lot of moments and a lot of fights in Volume 5 that I really
even the background and the line details on the walls are even better touched up. Like, they're brighter. Like, behind... Right where the curl comes out on Yang's hair on the... I see on that side, where the black thing is above the banner. You can see the lines even better. I didn't even notice that the first time I looked at this.
So, Volume 4 and 5, this is a shipping video, so of course we're going to talk about this. Volume 4 and 5 was very subtle for Bumblebee, because they were apart for most of it, even though there is little bitty bits sprinkled out, like Yang looking sadly at a stack of books, both her and Blake riding a ship called Pride, a lot of stuff like that. So, they took the moment where technically it is Blake and Yang's reunion. And, you know, of course, we all know the story. Blake walks into the room. It's filled with people that she hasn't seen in who knows how long. She singles Yang out and says Yang's name, and Yang has this shocked look on her face. Like I said, very Beauty and the Beast like
You came back.
Yeah. And some people made some very interesting observations with this. Well, for one, it does look a lot better. A lot more detail, and I guess I might as well go ahead and point out, yes, Yang now has teeth. A lot of people said the top one made her look like a Muppet because she doesn't have any teeth or anything.
It gives it more like a more edge of emotion with the eyes.
Yes.
So
yes, the newer model has more emotion. She looks more awestruck, and people even pointed out that when you actually watch it in motion, her eyes start to dilate. Yeah.
and you can actually, I mean, yeah, you can relate the Beauty and the Beast thing too, but you can relate it even more if you look, even whether it's the animated version or the live action, it doesn't matter. The bottom picture, the way it looks and the way everyone describes when you rewatch it actually animated, Beast has that same dilated look. Like it's that you came back. There's no other way to say that.
Yeah.
But it mirrors that, like, perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I just wanted to include this just because it's just so funny that we recorded this today and this got posted. So I was like, why not? So that was our little Bumbleby and Catradora video. Hope you enjoyed it.
With a peek at the new part of the new setup.
Yeah.
At least
well,
half of
your setup.
Mine, yes.
Yeah. I'll be back over there when it comes to my stuff. But
we'll probably be back and forth depending on what we're doing.
If it's burning hot like this, we ain't. I'm going to tell you that. But so yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe. We've gotten a good amount of new subscribers here recently. If you watched my latest Let's Play, or if you pay attention on Twitter, we are doing another giveaway when we hit 200 subscribers. First place, well, part of first place is going to be a Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta statue. I'm sure she'll add some stuff. Second and third place, we've not thought up yet. Maybe second place will be like some Steam currency. Third place might be a custom print or something.
Yeah, we haven't decided yet. We'll probably add some extra things.
Once we get closer to 200 subscribers.
Because we also have something coming in the mail soon that will allow us to do some very, very good giveaways.
A 3D printer.
Yes, we were able to get one. It hasn't shipped yet, but it should be here within the next week and a half.
It was a gift, so.
Yes. And so once we figure that out, we're actually looking into digging out some with the new setup, actually giving it its own place. So, and actually with the question we got from our first round about a room tour, well, as soon as we have this finished, we will actually be able to do that.
It won't be a long video.
No, it won't be. Like I said, our space with the house that we share, it's small, but you'll get to see everything. That, and you'll notice when we start doing other videos, if we don't have it set up, clearly you see all of my stuff that used to be behind me in videos is now here. Yeah. So, huge changes. We can't wait to have it finished. It's going to make recording videos so much easier for the both of us. I'm actually maybe be able to pull my chair over there and stop sitting on the bed. But, yeah.
You done?
Yeah.
I'm burning up. I'm sorry. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit that like button, share it around. Leave us a comment. We're going to start trying to reply to more comments. And hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully we get some news for Ruby Volume 8 here soon, since the world is slowly going back to normal. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.